Live. My name is Shane Chebsey, and to my right is my co-host Andrew Richmond. Hi, Andy.
Good evening. Hiya, guys. Evening.
Hey,
how's
and
everyone?
below me. Oh well, we're fine. We're good. Yeah. How are you, Olly? Below me.
I'm all right.
Olly.
I'm all right. It's Thursday night, first night of the weekend.
Yay. Okay, I'll say no more. So this evening on the Icecast Live, we have got 3 guests for you. They're all from the same publishing house, which is Soaring Penguin, and I'm really delighted to welcome them along. They've got a new book out, which they're going to tell you all about in just a few minutes. We have the publisher, Tim Pilcher. Welcome, Tim, to the Icecast Live. And he disappears again just as quickly as he comes on. Yay!
Zip in, zip out.
How you doing, Tim? You all right?
I'm very well, thanks. Yeah, good, thank you.
Excellent.
Nice to see you again, Tim, after a long while away.
Yeah, no, it's been far too long since I've seen you guys.
Thought bubble.
Yeah, God, why was it really?
Yeah, November.
Well, you see, this all ties in very nicely to the backstory of this book. So,
no spoilers.
No spoilers.
Well, if that's the case, we better introduce the other 2 guests. So we've got the artist, Will Robertson. Hi, Will. Welcome to the Icecast Live.
Hey, guys. I'm actually the writer, not the artist, but we'll...
Yeah, damn! I knew that!
It's a novel. Do your research, Shane.
I researched that and I knew it, and the wrong words came out of my mouth. God damn it!
I'll go by any label. I'm good.
And the artist on the book. See, I got it right this time. Welcome to the Icecast. Oh no, she's disappeared again. Welcome to the Icecast, Yulia.
Hello.
Hey.
Welcome to the Icecast. Oh no, she's disappeared again.
Oh, we've got a big delay.
Hello.
There's a massive delay somewhere. Is that you? Whoa. Let's work out who it is. I'm going to take you off for a second, Yulia. I think it's Yulia. I think it's Yulia.
Wow.
Yeah, it's Yulia. Okay. I don't know if you can hear. I don't know if you can hear us while you're off screen, Yulia, but you're the bringer of the echo. I don't know if you have headphones or if you've got speakers on, also playing the stream. Then that will cause one hell of an echo. So she's rushed off. I can see her. She just rushed off the screen. So she's probably gone to get some headphones or something, or somebody to get technical advice. I don't know. So this is live. So the show must go on. And she's coming back now. So that's really good. That's really good. So let's see if we can get her. She's fiddling about with some wires. She's looking a little bit guilty. And we'll try and bring her on. She's plugging something into her computer. Okay, so Sam, can we bring Yulia back on? Yay!
Yeah, it's lovely.
That's perfect.
Yeah?
No echo. We have solved it. Fantastic. Welcome to the Icecast Live, Yulia.
Hello.
Fantastic.
Just as we lose William.
And then William goes dark. William's gone very dark.
I can hear myself. This is awkward.
You can hear yourself.
You get used to it. I had the same problem last week. It's a weird thing. You do get used to it.
Yeah. The fun of live broadcasts. And we've got the top of William's head. So okay, we're going to continue, and we'll do our best to continue with Will coming in and out as he does.
I'm here.
So we're here to talk about the Kickstarter for a brand new book, which is out. When does the book come out, guys?
It's going now, or it's future in the past. So if it's right now, everyone raise your hand. Right. Okay.
Yeah, I don't think we've got much of a delay now. I think we're okay. So we're here to talk about a brand new book that's coming out from Soaring Penguin,
Right.
called. And what is the title of that book, Will, that you've written? He's not responding.
It's
So what's the title?
Yes.
It's
the anticipation is killing me.
We're on the edge of our seats, waiting for an answer. There's definitely an internet problem.
Fill it out.
Yulia, do you want to fill in and tell us what the book is called and what it's about?
The title of the book is The Glass Wall.
Thank you. We got there. And what is the book about? There we are. Nice picture.
I can feel the delay. Oh my god. Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can.
all hear you. Yeah, we can hear
Can
you
you hear
now,
me?
Will.
Yes.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, so the glass wall it's a search for meaning beyond hedonism. It's basically about a group of millennials in East London who are struggling to navigate their way into some semblance of adulthood. And it's basically just about the difficulties that the protagonist Lucian goes through. And yeah, it's basically just a study on about a year in his life.
We've got a little bit of an audio problem there, I think. You still with us, Will? No?
Tim,
I am,
you
yeah.
there, Tim?
Tim, can you fill in?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, I mean, for me, it was one of those stories that just kind of resonated quite strongly with me, because I think I kind of lived a bit through that similar sort of life. Back in the 90s, I wrote a memoir about my time working at Vertigo Comics. And it was very much what Will's been talking about and talks about in this graphic novel is that very young, you know, that sort of period in your 20s where, as he said, you're trying to find your way in the world. And at the same time, you've suddenly got all this freedom. You've kind of grown out of that insecurity of being a teenager. You're now in your 20s. You're an adult. You can do what you like, and kind of all bets are off. But at the same time, there's kind of that responsibility, and it's finding how you balance those two things out of kind of just being able to do anything you like, but also realizing that there's responsibility that comes with that as well. And I think that Will captures that perfectly in the book.
And I'm assuming, I don't know if Will can hear me. Can you hear me, Will? Was this inspired by real life? Was this inspired by real life experiences? And, you know, did you draw upon your own sort of experiences when you wrote the book?
Yeah, I mean, I basically kind of lived the life that's portrayed in the novel / comic. The stuff that goes on in the story is a little bit exaggerated, but it's essentially, you know, it's not far off things that I heard about and things that I was told and some little things that I witnessed. So, but I think I give East London a bit of a bad rap in this story. It's a cool place, and I had some great experiences there. But a lot of it it's not exactly a roman clef, but it's based on real life with, you know, a lot of pinch of salt thrown in.
And when you created those characters, did you find that you had to sort of amalgamate lots of different characters into sort of single characters to sort of narrow it down to a reasonable narrative? Because you can go a bit mad, can't you, when you've got lots and lots of stories and lots of accounts and experiences. Did you find you had to sort of amalgamate those into just a few characters?
Yeah. Yeah, I did. I mean, in the novel, there's actually more characters. There's more story. There's more like subplots going on. But Yulia actually helped me edit that down to make it a lot more pacier. So
Yeah.
in doing that, I did amalgamate some of the characters into main characters. So there was a lot fewer to go by. And just so it's more kind of focused and there are less tangential plot lines, which kind of take away the focus from the main plot. So, yeah.
So was it a novel first that's then been adapted into a graphic novel? You said a novel.
It was, yeah. This
novel came first.
was a novel I
about
started
10 years
writing
ago.
at 10 when I was living in, living in East London. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And where
I
did
started
the
writing it
sorry.
around the time I was living in East London.
And where did the inspiration come to sort of then take it forward into a graphic novel? How did you guys sort of come together? Was this all Tim's doing, or did you guys get together, meet up, and sort of whose idea was it to create a graphic novel from the novel? Anyone can answer that question.
It was Yulia's.
I'm sorry, I just
proposed the
get
idea.
still confused with all this delay and stuff. I can just figure it out. But anyway, I just was drunk one evening and I said, William, let's make a graphic novel.
That's all the best ideas happen when you're drunk, don't they?
Yeah.
And that's a great answer to that question. So and then how did
I'm afraid
Tim
it's
get
gonna
onto the
answer
picture?
the last few questions as well. Well,
And how did Tim get involved in that then, Tim? How did you become part of the picture?
Well, as we were discussing, last time we saw Olly was at Thought Bubble last year. And it was actually there. I can't remember if it was Saturday or Sunday.
Tim got involved a year ago at Thought Bubble.
And and they just you had a friend, was it Steve, who recommended that you come and talk to Soaring Penguin. And you just came back to the table and you'd already sort of created a sort of a prototype or a proof of the graphic novel. So it was completely done. It was all written, drawn.
Steve.
It was Steve, yeah. And so the whole thing was kind of fully formed. And they just said, we've done this graphic novel. Are you interested in publishing it? And, like a lot of things, when it's always the art that grabs you first. That's the first immediate thing that you can see. And you kind of go like, wow, yeah, I really love that. Oh, there you go. That's the Yulia's got it right there. So that was the proof, and they gave me a copy of that, and I just said, "Yeah, can I keep this? Because I'd like to read it." And it just kind of really grabbed me. I thought it was a really brilliant artwork. There's not a lot of artwork in that style around, so that kind of made it stand out. And B, it was the kind of it was the realism of the setting, but also the realism of the characters. It's got quite a large cast, but all of the characters feel real. There's no ciphers, there's no cliched characters. There's nothing. They've all got their own interesting quirks and things, and they came very alive to me. So I just thought, yeah, we really need to publish this because I think it's a good, important book.
Definitely.
I mean, for me, one of the things that we're definitely interested in with Soaring Penguin is promoting, new talent and giving people their first breaks and doing that. But also it's looking at ways that we can push the medium. And it still feels like it's quite interesting with a lot of comics. People seem to be stuck very much in sort of genre. They're still hooked into whether that genre is, superheroes or horror or, sort of sci-fi or something along those lines. It's still comics seem to be stuck in those kind of genres. And I'm really interested in seeing what we can do that isn't sort of obvious genre based and like a true contemporary novel. We haven't seen a lot of that. I mean, I would say Now of Brown is one. That's the kind of the most immediate one. There's Ed Ilia's No Room for Love or Room for Love. you know, I just think that's kind of an interesting area to go, because if we're going to appeal to non-comics people, then you have to appeal to readers of contemporary novels. And let's face it, there are more contemporary novels out there than there are, I don't know, things about sort of superheroes. Although horror and crime is obviously very popular, and this, in the sense, this is also a crime graphic novel as well. It's not necessarily a kind of a whodunit, but there is a crime at the center of the story. So there is an element to that. But I'm going to stop talking and let the creators talk about it.
We were just looking at some of the artwork there, Yulia. It's really very nice artwork. Sam, can you continue showing us the artwork, please? Sam, the imaginary man. Can you put some artwork on the screen? Yeah, this is really nice stuff, and I'm quite interested. I'm quite interested in how you produce it. Is it digital work?
Yeah, it is digital work, and thank you.
It's really nice. And I noticed that some of the pages are very dark and some of the pages are more linear, and not all of the pages have tones on. What was your thinking behind that? How you've weighted the pages? Is it to create different moods?
Okay. Well, they all have tones on. They all are painted in a certain tone of violet gray, which is, to me, was the color I chose because it's the color of London sky after twilight, which I think suits well for the dark story like this one.
Yeah, that's a really cool idea, and it really sort of stands out. And it's not something you don't see. You don't see monotone stuff like that very often now. It used to get used a lot in comics.
Right.
But now
I could make it like black and white, but it wouldn't be quite the same.
No, definitely not. Definitely not. Excellent. And do you do the lettering as well, or does someone else do that?
I did the lettering, but the lettering is created from the font, which I made based on William's handwriting. So William has written a few variants of letters for me and symbols and stuff, and I made all of that into the font.
Right.
So we got our own William Robertson font, which is pretty nice.
Yeah, it makes it very unique.
And makes so much sense given he's the writer, right?
Yeah. It's excellent. And whose idea was it to create a specific font?
Of course, it was my idea. Who else it would be? Yeah. And
that works really well.
He wasn't so sure at first, but I said, well...
What did you think, Tim, when they made that suggestion about doing their own font?
Well, again, it was already a sort of a fait accompli. It kind of came as that, and it is just a really nice. It's very clear, it's readable, and it's
great choice of panel there.
Yeah, we should point out it's not for kids.
No, it's really not for kids. It's really not for kids.
We should kind of point that out, I think.
Mummy, what's the cock bucket?
It's proper sex, drugs, and rock and roll.
So much delay.
Yeah, we're sorry about the delay, guys. It's not usually
it's really complicated, and nothing we can do about it.
No, we'll muddle on through. And
everyone put their hand up if they've got a question. That's the way to do it.
That might be the way we have to do it, actually. So I'm going to put my hand up now on the right side of the screen. There's a Kickstarter to this, isn't there, guys? And Sam, if you can get the Kickstarter on the screen, we can talk a little bit about that, because there's some cool little rewards.
Thank
with
you,
the
Mighty
Kickstarter.
John.
And would you like to go through those rewards with us, Tim?
Yeah, I mean, it's there is a lot, actually.
Lots of rewards.
Well, I mean, there's the obvious. We'll just take your money reward at the beginning. Just because you're nice, give us money. No, we've got the usual things like a PDF version and an early bird soft cover edition.
And that's only a tenner, isn't it? So I think that's really good value.
I mean,
It's really good value.
I mean, how many graphic novels, original graphic novels can you get for like 10 quid? It's like,
and with a download as well.
Yeah. So you'd get that as well. So that's and your name in the back of the book, of course, as well. We've got a retailer version, a soft cover edition, which comes with a print. So Yulia's designed a special print, which will be signed by her.
Cool.
So that's there. Got T-shirts. The T-shirt comes with the hardcover edition.
What's the soundtrack, the original soundtrack, all about, Tim? I'm interested in that.
This is where we need to bring William in, really.
Yes.
He's the man behind the soundtrack.
Who ironically has the worst audio connection of anyone.
Because, he's a musician as well as a writer. He's a very
right.
man.
A very good musician. Songwriter and a singer.
See, I'm looking at the 150 quid pledge, and you get the hardcover edition, you get the art, and you get the original soundtrack. And I love to read comics to certain music, and I'm lazy enough that if someone's done it for me, I'm even happier. And given that I've seen the 16-page preview of The Glass Wall, I'm really intrigued in the soundtrack now.
We need to have William to talk about that.
Yeah,
really. That's his
I don't know if William can you hear us, William? Are you able to tell us a little bit about the music?
Can you hear me? Is it all good?
Yep.
Yes,
we can.
Go for it.
I think that there's about like an 8-second delay here, but okay. So the album.
Yeah, it's all good.
Compiled the album about the same time that we went to Thought Bubble, last November, and when we met Tim, and I decided to then put an album together because once we were going to get the comic published, I thought it would be quite a nice companion piece because some of the songs deal with quite similar themes as the comic. So it just kind of worked that way, really. 2020 has been quite a busy year, all in all.
Wow. Would the soundtrack have come together if we hadn't hit COVID? I know you're talking about having the idea straight out of November, coming out of Thought Bubble. But do you think it would have ever been realised if it hadn't been for COVID?
Yeah. I think I actually officially released it. I think it was the end of January, so really just before everything hit properly. It wasn't really affected by that at all.
So you say it's been released. Where can people find it?
It's on Spotify. It can be downloaded from Bandcamp or listened to on SoundCloud, but most people just listen on Spotify. It's probably the easiest platform to get it on.
And is it under your name or is there a band name? That's one hell of a delay.
We got a lot of delay going on.
There's a hell of a delay. And I think Will might have frozen. I'm not sure.
But I think we've got to say we're all at different places in the world, aren't we? We're not just...
Yeah.
So, Yulia, whereabouts are you? She's gone. She has frozen.
She's actually frozen, yeah.
She's gone.
We'll get her back on shortly. I think she's in Europe somewhere, isn't she? Mainland Europe.
Well, we are. We're still in Europe.
Well, we should.
She's in Kiev, Ukraine.
In Ukraine. Right. Well, they're blimey. So there's
Yeah. There's going to be
tin cans and string.
Yeah.
So, okay. Are you able to tell us what sort of music it is, Will? I'm quite interested in the style of the music.
Yeah, it's it's kind of sort of jangly folk, very melodic, very lots of harmonies. I like quite a lot of 60s stuff, like Simon & Garfunkel and the Byrds, that do a lot of harmonies. I'm quite inspired by that. Aside from that, I like sort of varied music, really. A lot of guitar music from the 90s and the 80s, and a lot of piano music as well. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of 3.5 minute, what I try and make catchy kind of indies, really, with a little bit of heart, you know, a little bit of darkness.
But it's not many Kickstarters you see that are giving out a soundtrack as part of the package, and I really like that idea as something that extra special that
Welcome
you're giving away with certain pledges.
My computer kicked me out.
Still there. We were just we were just saying you're quite far away, aren't you, over in the Ukraine?
Oh, I was just kicked out. My computer restarted. Yeah,
great.
Thank you.
Got you back now. Excellent. And Will, just to ask one more question about the soundtrack. Did you play all the instruments? Is it a solo production, or have you got people helping you out?
Mm-hmm.
Delay.
That's a big delay. I can hear it in my ear.
Yeah.
Wow.
Do you know what? I don't think StreamYard
He
likes
did everything.
I don't think StreamYard likes Apple products.
Yeah, we're all here with our.
William did everything. All
He did
the
everything.
music.
Wow.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Wow.
All the recording, all the mastering, all the singing, all the writing, everything.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
That's it, guys. Just fill in. If we drop out, one of us will just carry on talking.
Streaming is one thing he can do.
What I'm curious about is just how did you guys meet, Yulia and William? Yeah, right. Sorry, did good.
Beat me to it, Tim. Too much up for it, Tim. Carry on, mate. You carry on. You've been doing this a lot longer than I have, mate.
I'd like to do a song. I was ready to do a song
This is so
then.
confusing.
It is with all the delays. We're gonna have to put a complaint in with StreamYard, I think. But yeah, to repeat Tim's question, how did you two guys meet?
We met 10 years ago, and it's a long story. We met online. We had similar tastes in music, arts, film, and stuff like that. And it just went how it goes, you know.
Right. Yeah, cool. 10 years, wow. So was there always an intention to work together on something creative?
Not always, but eventually it just naturally happened.
And when did you start?
William was a writer, and I was always drawing. And at some point, I just told him, like, why not? Like I said, yeah.
Sorry, Andy, go on. You had a question.
I just say, when did you actually start producing the graphic novel? When did you start drawing it?
I mean, it just happened that our talents intertwined so naturally. So it just happened to be a graphic novel in our case. Like if I was a filmmaker, yeah. Well, the graphic novel, well, if we start like from the very beginning, it might be about like 5 years ago, I think, the very first drafts.
Wow.
Because, you know, in the comic world, it's a debut for both of us. So it started just for me, like proposing just a storyboard, basically, not a script, but a storyboard of our very draft images, which I proposed to William about 5 years ago. And then it naturally evolved into a comic.
Right. I think we've got some more artwork coming up. If Sam can get it on the screen there for us. No, maybe not.
Maybe not.
I'm really
Maybe
interested.
the world's internet is running slow tonight.
Yeah, maybe it is.
Whole
Maybe there's
thing.
maybe there's something else going on that we don't know about.
Well,
American
then-
election.
there's a lot going on.
Yeah.
There's a heck of a lot going on.
So much.
Indeed. Yeah. But there is. You did send us a lot of artwork, actually, very kindly. Thank you. And what we've seen is really good. Is this a self-contained graphic novel, or do you think there might be more in the future with these characters?
Sorry, self-contained or what?
Is it a self-contained story, or is there more story to come? Is this just going to be one book, or are we going to see more of these characters?
Oh, well, we didn't plan to continue it, but like, who knows?
Well, I actually, I've actually written another novel called Crush, which actually has it has Casper in it, one of the characters in the glass wall. But as it's not exactly a sequel, but as for another comic, we haven't really discussed the sequel to this one, but we'll definitely be working on something else in the future together.
So it was a good working relationship then. You enjoyed the whole process.
As painful as it is, it's good.
It was fine overall.
It's fine.
Well, don't overstate it. Just had a comment. Sorry.
Okay.
I was just going to say we just had a
We
comment there
have a
from
certain dynamic.
John. Somebody else loves the artwork as well. A comment from John there.
Thank you for loving the artwork.
Oh,
Sorry,
nice.
Tim. Go on. Say what you were going to say.
I was going to ask, Will, for
This is
you,
painful.
having written a novel, that process of then converting it into a script for Yulia, could you talk us through a bit of that and how you did that?
How we did what? Sorry, the delay.
I was asking Will how he took the novel and turned that into a script for you.
Well, there were never any script. That's the thing, which is quite original about a comic.
Oh.
I think there were never a script. The novel just straight away turned in the storyboard, which I made, because I don't know how to make a script, and I'm an artist, so I just did these little drawings, and they worked. William got what I meant, so we went with the same thing. So we just went with little drafts. It
Wow,
makes
that is
sense.
different.
The
That's a
storyboard.
really.
This is how I really approach it. Like I would approach a film, like I would approach a series, you know?
Interesting.
That's a really different process, actually, because even artists, even when you don't write a script, there's usually a written plot at least, and then the artist might do something.
Well, we had a novel.
Yeah.
We had a lot of material, which was the novel, and like I said, I proposed the idea of a graphic novel, so I felt like I had something to initiate. I had to have something to show to William, right?
So basically what you've done is adapt the novel sort of in your head, and you've then created the artwork yourself without any sort of script. You've almost bypassed that process and done the adaptation, sort of in a more fluid way.
An adaptation was like a first for both of us. So I felt like if I proposed it, I had to show something, right?
Yeah.
So
that's a lot of work for you, Yulia.
it is.
Sorry, that was me.
Oh, bloody hell, Pilcher.
Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, that makes it quite labor intensive when you haven't got a script to work from like that, and you're doing all the adaptation work as an artist. I remember adapting a film screenplay myself when we did Madam Samurai, and that's quite a lot of work. But that was adapting a script as opposed to a novel, so that was nowhere near as difficult, because a novel is such a different way of getting across a story. The whole language of prose is completely different. So yeah, hats off to you.
But it kind of ties into what we were talking about last week with Hunt Emerson, because Hunt had been adapting a lot of books and stuff, hadn't he? That he just
It gets so
wrote himself.
confusing.
We know there's a
Typical.
huge delay.
Yeah. Are we all okay for chatting though? Tim, Ollie, you can hear okay?
Yeah.
I'm just worried about the delay.
Yeah.
I think it's one of those shows where if we know about the delay, it's one person hosting. So I've just typed up a question.
Okay, we can't do anything about the delay. So why don't just one person talks at a time? You know.
Yeah.
So what? So let's just all shut up for a sec. And hush.
We've lost Will.
Right. One person is gonna talk after I finish. So after I put my finger down, one person can ask a question.
Right, I'm going to start talking. I really like the setup of the graphic novel.
You like the setup?
The first 2 pages alone, I found it really dragged me in. My question to you, having not read the book, is how much of the structure is maintained, because a book works in a different way to a comic, and where do you actually start when you come to adapt the book into a graphic novel?
All right. Listen. The most of the structure is maintained as the most of it is improved, I would say. The book has much more like moments. Where's William? Anyway, but basically I got out the main skeleton of the book, like the very main plot, and built everything around it. We cut out every scene that didn't have anything to do with the main plot. We just dealt against the main plot, and basically everything which didn't have much to do with the plot we've cut, but the structure remained the same. I would say in the comic it's much more clear and it's less what if, you know what I mean, in the comic. It's much more quickly paced than a book.
Are you done? Next question, Tim.
In the delay, I haven't answered
I'd just like to ask, both for Will and Yulia, did you read comics as kids? And what sort of, were you interested in comics? Or not?
Well, I mean, Lion King at 5 years old doesn't count, right?
Yeah.
Or it does.
Can I be heard?
Yes.
Yeah? Oh, brilliant. Okay.
Not seriously, no.
I thought
read comics and a kid with my best friend Alina. Hello, Alina. And we were like 8 years old or something, but we wrote these comics. Yes, you are. Hello.
Wow, there's a massive delay here.
I was just telling about my troubled childhood. Right.
Okay, so I'll try and pick up here. Well, like Yulia, I wasn't a big comics fan when I was younger. I mean, I got the Dandy every week, and I got Beezer and Topper annuals, and I read the Beano occasionally. But aside from that, like through my teenage years, I wasn't aware of what was going on in the comics really. But once Yulia proposed that we adapt my novel, I started reading them, and I realized that actually, wow, these are fantastic.
So delay in the recording as well?
and
Yeah.
and and yeah, in recent years I've read so many incredible ones. Like Tim mentioned The Now of Brown, which is by Glyn Dillon, which is
Yeah,
amazing.
this is the last we both read.
And I also really like Sabrina by Nick Donasso.
Beautiful.
But I think, my favorite overall is Fun Home by Alison Bechdel. I mean, it's basically like Tim was saying,
Yeah, that one as well.
it's basically a novel that has pictures in it. It's so well written. It's incredible. And I'm currently reading a graphic novel called When I Came Out by Anne Meta Carolif-Lorentzen, which is
absolutely. It's so terrifying in a good way.
It's about the struggles of a married woman trying to come out in middle age. But yeah, it's brilliant. And I think I wasn't quite aware until in recent years how incredibly in-depth and well-written graphic novels and comics could be. But I've been really pleasantly surprised in recent years.
Oh.
Yeah, I think a lot of people find that, when they rediscover comics as adults, that it's not just the dandy and superheroes. Yeah. They do have a lot more to offer, but it's getting that message across sometimes. It's really difficult to sort of get people to get back into comics.
That's why podcasts like this are so important.
Yes, when they work.
I thought I'd go off camera because I think that was causing quite a lot of problems.
Yeah, I think you're getting through a lot better now, Will.
Cool.
Definitely, and there doesn't seem to be any delay between us, so that's good. It's just Yulia's delay. Going back, just question. Going back to Yulia, you said that you did read some comics when you were small. What comics were you reading?
Oh, it's not like that. I mean, like when I was 5, I read The Lion King. It's not serious.
So you didn't. So you didn't read comics as you got older. Then you.
You were telling about the comics I read when I was smaller.
Yeah, and what comics did you read as you grew up?
I have written a lot of comics when I was small. When I was like 8. I've written a lot of comics about very troubled characters. So if you know Shameless, the series, whereas it's the UK or US version. So basically the main character, Frank, was basically the main character of the comics I written when I was small. And I was like drawing comics with my friend Alina. No idea where I got it from. But...
Brilliant.
That's cool. So even then, when you were younger, you were sort of creating stories in the more real life situation than fantasy or superheroes. It was always a more real life setting.
No superheroes, no. I grew up in a post-Soviet country. No superheroes.
quick point about Shameless. That was set around Stretford. And I used to teach in Stretford when Shameless was first on. And I used to teach the kids of parents like that. And it was always hilarious watching Shameless go.
I don't think I was creating nothing to teach the kids. No.
But listen, can we get to I like the idea of the glass wall.
Yeah. When I watched Shameless years later, I was like, I could earn so much money by now.
Go on, Olly.
I like the central concept of the glass wall, where Lucian effectively is frozen out of all of his friends to commit to this relationship that's now broken. And getting back to this idea, Will, where it's one big last hurrah before they sort of settle down and understand that their lives are changing, maybe.
Right.
How much of that part of the story was based on reality? Because when I look through it, it's something a lot of people can resonate with. Anyone who's lived in an exciting city like London or Manchester or Kiev are going to know these kind of experiences. They're also going to know maybe this kind of heartache where you've given your life away to a certain loved one, and when that relationship's over, you go back and befriend these people again, who are also at the same point in their lives as well. And this is just from the 16-page preview, I hasten to add.
So much delay.
Yeah, that was actually quite. That was based on something that happened to me. I was in a relationship when I was probably about 26, maybe, which I thought was a committed one and would last, but it just sort of fell apart. And that's kind of actually when I moved to East London, where I then stayed for maybe 4 or 5 years. And yeah, it wasn't so much a last hurrah as a kind of just a continuing hurrah, really, because the relationship I was in lasted a little over a year, and I moved down to South London, which I didn't really know very well.
When you're 26, a year in a relationship is like 5 years.
Yeah, it's a long time.
Yeah.
But then, and then after living in East London for 5-6 years, I just felt like I had to get out. It was it was eating me up. And I, from one pole to the other, I then moved to a tiny, quaint chocolate box village down in Hampshire. Right. Which was lovely. And I lived there. But now I've moved to Hertfordshire, where I live with my girlfriend and stepdaughter. And yeah, I feel like all the stuff that's in the glass ball is long behind me.
Oh, yes, of course. But it felt, when I read that preview, I immediately resonated with, it just felt a very personal story. I know all the names have been changed to preserve the identities. And I know, like you said, there's a big dollop of salt in there. But I was drawn in by the whole personable story about it. And I think, getting back to this age of 26, there is a lot of heartache. There is a lot of growing up at that time, isn't there? So I think it's something I could relate to. And I dare say it's something a lot of the other panelists, maybe not Shane, but some of the other panelists can relate to.
Right. Yeah. And going back to like using people I knew to inform the other characters, when I started writing the novel, I basically just kind of wanted to write about people I knew and people I met because I found them fascinating. They're all really interesting. But by the end of the novel, they'd become completely unrecognizable from the people on whom they were initially inspired. But I actually made the mistake at the start of telling my friends that they had inspired these people, and some of them didn't stop talking to me for months because of it.
Wow.
But my friends are far more redeemable and lovely, and I've told them that now, and so they like me again, so it's all fine.
So they'll back the Kickstarter then, now that they know that.
I hope so.
The other thing, I mean, Yulia, you mentioned it ever so briefly, and I think it was lost in the conversation. This idea of this hint of violet and the fact that it reflects any city, I think, particularly London, after sunset. And I really like that idea and the tone it brings to the book.
What? Sorry, I'm getting lost. I don't hear what you're talking about.
It's my accent, I imagine. I liked because it's not black and white, is it? It's black and white with a hint of violet.
A hint of violet, right?
Yes.
When I first visited London about 10 years ago, that one of the things that struck me the most was that the sky turned into this violent. My accent.
No, don't worry. We've all got accents. Mine's the worst. Yours is a good accent.
Well, the London sky is just violet grey after twilight. This is what it is.
Pollution.
Whereas the light or the smoke, I don't know. This is what it is, and it really struck me. It wasn't like dark blue. I was asking William, why is it this color? Why is this color? He couldn't answer. My accent is fine by now, actually. This is Russian accent if you want Russian accent. So. I answered your question because I get confused. Sorry.
Yes, don't worry. My mother had a strong German accent all her life, so I understand accents. And you've got very good English, almost as good as Tim's.
I am very happy to hear it.
Better.
But Tim, now that I've got you, you must have been quite amazed here. You know, the fact that they had a proof copy with them, that must make quite an impact, even on like a third day at Thought Bubble, let's say.
Yeah, I mean, it's it's interesting. I've reviewed portfolios and done this for about the last 30 years. Whether it was at Vertigo or Humanoids or anything. So, when someone comes to you with something that they've spent all that time and energy on, and they've printed it up, and they present that, you go, okay, these are people that are serious. They know what they're doing. They care about it. They've spent their time, and they really mean business. And that, I have to say, is the best way to be presented. And the fact that it's like, okay, you've got this book here. It's like what you're now looking for is a publisher. And that, one of the hardest things, as a publisher is, particularly a small publisher, is to try and get is to make sure that you're doing right by your creators and making sure that you're getting as much money as you possibly can and to pay them. So a lot of the reason why we've gone onto Kickstarter is so that we can raise money for these guys that have already spent all of their time and hard work and energy into this, is to get them some decent money for their time and effort. Comics is a very difficult business to publish. And a lot of this came out of the conversation that Hannah Berry, the comics laureate, was doing, which was trying to find out how comic creators could earn a decent wage. And that's kind of vital. That's so important. So we thought, okay, well, the only way we can really do this, because we don't have deep and bottomless pockets like sort of the other penguin,
you should have called yourself the other penguin.
Yeah, but we're soaring. It just
yes, that's true. I like that. It's far more deep.
Yeah. So it's about making sure that we can pay our creators, and Kickstarter is the best way to do that, because it and also what I love about Kickstarter is there's that camaraderie between publishers, between creators, and everyone is kind of like looking out for each other, and very much like the comics community at something like Thought Bubble or Lakes or whatever. There is that comics community. And you get the same thing online with Kickstarter. So it's really nice to see we've had lots of support from other creators who are also doing Kickstarters at the same time as us. And we're obviously doing the same. We're sort of saying, oh, yeah, well, you might not like ours, but check out this one. And, if you do like ours, then you might also like this one as well. And they've been doing the same back. So that really, is lovely and definitely helps everybody, I think, and helps push, as I said, the medium and growing that to reach a wider audience is what it's all about.
And Tim, do you think, just going on into the publishing side a little bit, do you think the Kickstarter can be a sort of ongoing model for publishers? Because obviously a lot of publishers use it to sort of kickstart a new project. Do you think it's a good forum for ongoing publishing of a book or a title or a monthly, or do you think it has its limitations?
I think it definitely has its limitations. I think for me, I have seen people doing serial comics, and in that way, it's a much slower kind of burn, as it were. So because it's between each issue, there's got to be X amount of months, and you can't run consecutive Kickstarter campaigns. You have to finish one before you can start the next, and to do that. So I think for like monthlies, that becomes a difficult thing. But what it does excel in is being able to do like one-off graphic novels like Will and Yulia's, because it means you can just focus completely on that one book, and it's much more like a proper book publishing model. So yes, I think there's a tricky element to it, which is, of course, it's all or nothing. And that's always the hardest bit. I mean, if we don't reach our target, we get nada. And that's a lot of work constantly. I mean, we've got 4 days left, everyone. 4 days.
4 days.
Pledging.
4 days.
And how are we doing?
Well, look, if people haven't made up their mind yet.
Yeah.
Crazy people.
Pledge now for this book. Where are we at on the campaign? Can we see the campaign, Sam? Can we have a look at where we're at?
4 days.
I think we're about pushing 40%. But the thing I've learned doing Kickstarters is there's always that initial rush at the beginning. It kind of plateaus out, and then the last kind of like couple of days, 24 hours, suddenly people get their notifications and they say, "Oh, this is finishing," and everything, and then there's a sudden kind of burst forward towards the end. So that's what we're kind of keeping our fingers crossed that people suddenly go, "Oh yeah, it's now or never." So
is it all or nothing? Will the book be published eventually if Kickstarter doesn't take? What's your plan?
It may get published, but not necessarily in all of the formats and with all the lovely t-shirts and all the other goodies and things that come with it. So there may be a book out there at a point, but you're not going to get all the exclusives that certainly come with that.
Yeah, and I think like you said, Tim, I think there is the camaraderie, but I think the world has changed, and I know it's a conversation ongoing in the comics community, but I think more and more people are going to Kickstarter and other crowdfunding, and I think more and more readers with maybe less monthly comics out there, and I know I'm one of those people who are taking a second look at Kickstarter, and it's that quality over quantity. And I think, like someone like me, I know I've reduced a lot of my comic monthly stuff so I can invest in more of the Kickstarter stuff. And I think for anyone who is still undecided, I know the lazy example is Wicked and Divine, but I think because that's appropriate, the artwork is just divinely beautiful, just like that, just like Caspar Wingard's. So it's a really crisp and very contemporary artwork that I think helps visualize the novel, which itself is very contemporary. And as I said early on, something a lot of people can relate to, whether, like me, we grew up in the 90s, Tim, and had all the decadence of the 90s or even the noughties, etc. And I think it's a story that's got legs, and I know it was a novel written 10 years ago, but I imagine there'll be people reading this in 10 years' time as well.
Yeah. I think some of the themes are almost timeless, aren't they? Some of the setting is very, of its time perhaps, but the themes that it talks about, the coming of age stuff and that sort of confronting reality, if you like, as you leave your childhood and enter your early adulthood.
Hold on, you have to leave your childhood?
Yeah, I'm afraid so, mate.
Oh, shit.
I
didn't get that memo.
Well, I think that theme is always there. I think anyone can relate to that. And the artwork is also pretty timeless. It's unique. I haven't really seen a style like this before.
It's timeless, yeah.
Yeah, it's really unique. And so I think that the two combined mean that this book has a hell of a shelf life. I think you can pick it up. Any generation can pick it up and see a little bit of themselves in it.
Well, you've got some new backers tonight. I'm going to back. Olly, back in.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Thanks,
guys.
We're all going to back it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Definitely. We'll share. Obviously, we'll share the campaign in our links and all that sort of thing.
I know we've covered it on Comic Con in the past when it first started. So I'll make sure we retweet that article again over the next 4 days.
Oh, thanks, Olly.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Lovely.
There you go. That's an hour.
So we've done an hour, and I want to say thank you to each of our guests.
Thank you for having us.
We got there in the end.
Oh, it's difficult, isn't it?
Yes, Yulia and
Tim.
Yeah,
if I could hear you better, I would answer so much more.
I know it would have been great if we could have not had the delay. But you guys have been really, really patient, and we still managed to get a lot of information.
Oh, thank you so much.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And we'll have you guys back on again
Thanks,
next
guys.
time when you do a new graphic
Happily.
novel. I think there's a real future for you guys. I'm really looking forward to seeing more material from you. And
Cool.
thanks, Tim, for introducing us to this book. And thanks, Tim, for taking a shot.
Nice
Oh,
seeing
I
you
hope
again,
so.
Tim.
Yeah, well, let's go.
Yeah.
Just pledge now. Pledge now.
Pledge now.
Pledge now. Thank you,
Give us your
each
money.
person in a book. Bye.
All the best to you guys. Thank you.
See you later,
Bye.
guys. Thanks very much.
Cheers, guys.
Thank you.
Mhm. Cheers.